This episode is sponsored by Sensama. Stick around till the end of the video to learn more about it. Hello, brains. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3. Hello, brains. We're back with Caroline McGuire, who is the author of Why Will No One Play With Me, as well as an upcoming book about how neurodivergent people make friends. And this time we're talking about how to tell if it's What are we talking about?
Whether someone is worth pursuing as a friend.
Yes, whether it's worth investing your very limited time and energy in a potential friendship. This is something that I wish I had done a long time ago. It was all about like, how do I get friends as opposed to like, how do I select for friends? And thanks to Caroline's help in writing a chapter in my book, which you can check out in the description below, I've started shifting my mindset from like, hey, pick me, here's why you should pick me, please be my friend, to wait, what do I want in a friend? How do I know if this person is worth my time? Which it still feels weird to say because it's so different from what I experienced the rest of my life. So yeah, how do you tell?
Well, okay, let's step back. So part of this is thinking about friendship in a more broad terms, right? So you get to pick who you're friends with, and you get to find, I know you're looking at me so skeptically, but you get to think about, what do I want from friendships? And there's all these different levels of friendship and different kinds of friendships for different phases of our lives. We have different friends for different purposes. What kind of things do I want to do for fun? What are my interests?
People who like me. I want to be friends with people who like me. So how do I get them to like me? Wait a second. No, that's what we're moving away from.
Wait, that's what we're moving away from. It's not just people who like you. Who do you have fun with? When you spend a day with someone who's your friend, you should feel good. You shouldn't feel bad. I've seen this skeptical look on your face.
I've been doing things all wrong.
Well, not wrong. It's that we come from this place of pick me, pick me, pick me. And then we forget there's an ocean of people, and we want to find the people who are our people and who like us for us, and we have some compatibility with, because we have to have shared experiences to build the friendship.
I think I've gotten better. I'm starting to make some friends that I actually really have a good time with, that I feel very connected to, who I have shared values with. My picker is definitely getting better than it used to be. It went from like, I will pick people who will put me down and bully me because that's what I feel I deserve, to like, I will pick people who will tolerate me and not be mean to my face, it's getting better, to people who I actually feel like I belong and I'm actually having fun with. But I still get it wrong. I still get it wrong sometimes. And sometimes I invest a lot of time and energy in somebody and I miss something really blatant, like a blatant red flag. And part of it is, I think, the ADHD hyperfocus, the like rose-colored glasses. When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags.
And it's exciting and new, and you're pursuing something, and we love to pursue. So you're like at full speed ahead without thinking, well, wait, do I really like this person? Do I want to pursue them?
Yeah. So what are some red flags? How do you tell what the red flags are? Like, maybe this isn't worth it, either because it's not a good fit, or because maybe they're not going to be a kind person, or because they're just definitely not interested. And like, maybe don't put energy into this.
Friendships are supposed to be reciprocal, right? So I'm supposed to be with you, you're supposed to be with me. I give and you give, but it's not just like I give, and you take. So part of this is, how do they treat you? How do they talk to you? How do I feel about what they've said? If I were turning to someone else, would I want them to be treated this way?
Okay. Yeah. I've definitely been in those situations where I'm like, well, it's okay for them to treat me like that. But if I saw them treating somebody else like that, I'd be like, no, that's not okay.
I know. We don't always feel that way because of things that have happened in the past, but we do deserve to be treated well.
Even if we're late sometimes?
I did a ton of research. It is based on typical populations, okay? There is no research that says people require in friends birthday cards, on-timeness. It is all about, are you compatible? Are you empathetic? Are you there for the person? Do you participate with them? Do you treat them well?
Okay, so a lot of the things that made us feel like maybe bad friends are not actually that important, even to neurotypical people, even to a typical population?
Even to the typical population. The typical population wants to feel that they bond with you, that they have experiences with you, that you have similar mindsets. So that doesn't mean like we're all carbon copies of each other, but like that you and I both look at the world a certain way, or we like the same things in a certain way.
Okay.
which is different from what we have in our head, which is like, I forget birthday cards, so therefore I have no right to a friend ever.
One of the best things I ever learned was it doesn't matter why. Like if somebody's treating you poorly, it doesn't matter why. Like, okay, yeah, they were kind of like mean to me about this thing, but I was late or I did forget the thing. Like I deserve it. It doesn't matter why somebody treated me badly. It's not okay for somebody to treat me badly. I really struggle with reciprocity. If somebody texts me, I might forget to text them back, or like maybe they get me something for my birthday and then I do forget their birthday or whatever. I struggle with reciprocity. And you're saying that that actually does matter. So it's really hard because it feels a little hypocritical to say like, well, they didn't reciprocate, so like they might not be worth investing in when I don't reciprocate. So like, does that mean I'm not worth investing? You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but let me reframe that. You can use some of my hacks where you say to people, hey, if I don't text back, it's not that I don't like you, it's that I forget. Or you can set up systems where it's a routine to see that person. That's different from them running you down or them not speaking to you kindly. There are ways to put the reciprocity on more automatic pilot so that we miss less. There's ways to explain, hey, I like you so much, I forget to text back.
So the reciprocity doesn't have to look like a certain thing. There are many ways to reciprocate.
I think there are many ways to reciprocate, because one of the things I've been working on for the past 18 years is like, how do we do it our way? Because I can't meet the neurotypical standards. It doesn't work out, and my clients can't either. But how do we do it our way and make them feel like we are in this friendship together without it being like, we just take stuff?
Okay, so one of the red flags is like they don't treat you well.
You should feel like you are giving as much as they're giving, and you're not being treated poorly, and you don't feel bad at the end of the day when you're with them. And there's stages of friendship. Remember, we tend to rush into friendship and we're like all in from day one. It grows over time. So I'm talking about someone who is your friend, not someone who's an acquaintance or a buddy or someone you know in a club and you barely talk to them and you can't really tell me their last name. They may be an emerging friend. You may be making friends with them. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about like, we are friends.
I very often take on too much or try to overplan my day. Sunsama lets me know when I've got an unpredictable or unrealistic workload and encourages me to bump back tasks to the next day. If you haven't heard of Sunsama, it's a system designed to help people mindfully plan their workday and work weeks. And when I inevitably don't get everything I planned done anyway, the task automatically rolls over to the next day. That's actually really helpful because sometimes I don't remember that I didn't finish something. And it also helps me to see if there's consistently the same type of thing rolls over, like maybe that's something I need accountability on, because I keep not getting to that for whatever reason. And after 4 days, I have it turned on to where it goes into archive. These are all the things I didn't do. I need something at the end of the week where it's like, go through the archive, and then I can be like, let's rescue that, because there are a lot of things I probably forgot about. So the reason why this is helpful for somebody with ADHD is because we won't put so many things in our day that it just keeps bumping back and bumping back and bumping back until we've got a really overwhelming list. So when I go in to plan my day, it's a short list. If I had kept bumping back a billion things, my list would be so long that I wouldn't be able to do it. So the auto archive helps with the overwhelm.
If you're looking to get more done, Sunsama is a fantastic tool that can help, not just with getting your stuff done that day or even that week, but setting and achieving long-term goals as well.
And they're so ADHD friendly. They have a trial period that doesn't require a credit card up front, so you can decide whether or not you want to be charged for it after you've tried it out. Go to sunsama.com/a/howtoADHD and let me know what you think. I'm curious if it helps you have a better work-life balance too. All right, let's go back to the video. Okay, so let's say it is an acquaintance or somebody that you run into here or there. Like, how do you tell if they're worth investing time into to try and grow a friendship?
Are you interested in them? When you share experiences with them, do you find it fun? Do you have things in common?
Okay, here's how it goes for me. I meet somebody and I'm like, oh my God, this is really cool. And like, you're a cool new person. And like, I need friends and like, you could be a friend. And I find one aspect of them like super fascinating. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we could be really good friends because like you like potato chips, I like potato chips. And then, and then like, oh man, like in the same flavor, like we're gonna be friends forever. I put a lot of energy into it. And then I realized that they're kind of like in relationships where they're deal breakers. And I do it in relationships too, where like I rush in and I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna be friends forever. Or like, we're gonna be together forever. And then like a year later, I'm like, do I like this person? Hang on. Like, I liked this aspect of them, but do I like this person as a whole?
You have to participate over and over again and share experiences. we give away our trust. We're like, oh, let me tell you everything about my life, and let me tell you my, bank account numbers and, my family's history and everything. We tell them everything. Trust is earned, right? So we tell a little, we see what they do with the information, we grow the relationship over time. And I'm not saying this is easy or we are good at this. You haven't had shared experiences. You haven't felt them out. You deserve to feel them out and see, do I have a good time every time? Do I have a good time 50%, 60%?
I think part of it is because I assume a lot of stuff. Like, I just assume that somebody's gonna be a good person or treat me well or like a great person and they like potato chips. Like, I assume the best of people, and so I'm like, oh, okay, cool, this is gonna be great. And then like it turns out they like kicking dogs, or you know what I mean? Like, not that.
No,
bad.
I've had the same experience. I told you, I've had times where I like rush in and I'm like, oh, I like you so much. And then I'm like, oh, you're a repulsive racist. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I can't be friends with you. Like backing away. But I think that's part of it, is that we immediately say, you're my friend. No, you're a person I've met who I like.
Okay.
Right? And
so far.
Okay. I'm not saying we go into the world like super skeptically, but we have to understand that we're growing the relationship.
So as we're getting to know them, what are we looking for?
What are you looking for in a friend? Partly, like there's friends for different purposes. Maybe I'm meeting you and I'm looking for a yoga buddy, and I'm not looking for a, full blown. I want to look for them also reciprocating, them showing me signals of welcome, interest, belonging.
How important are values? Like, let's say they believe completely different things, but you both love yoga. Like,
look, I think that's a conscious choice, right? You could be like, hey, they're my yoga buddy. We don't agree about certain things, but they're not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. We just disagree on certain fronts. We're going to be yoga buddies.
So let's say you've evaluated somebody and you're like, oh my God, this person's amazing to hang out with. I have so much fun with them. We have very similar values. We also love yoga and potato chips. Like, there's multiple areas that we like get along, right? But how can you tell if they're interested in you as a friend? Because like maybe you're like, oh my God, like I really want to be friends with this person, and then you scare them off. So
they're going to send you signals, which I know we don't always read, so we'll get to that. They're going to send you signals that they're interested. Do they put their yoga mat next to you? Do they
put their yoga mat completely on the other side of the thing every time they see you?
Right. Do they talk to you?
Move their yoga mat?
You're right.
Like it was set up next to yours, and then they move.
Do they talk to you? Do they ask for your information and you start texting or meeting up on social media? Do they approach you to talk?
Like, how can you tell if they're doing it to be polite or if they're doing it because they like you?
If they're doing it to be polite, the conversations will fall off and they will not seek you out.
So sometimes you need to like pull back a little bit and see if they come to you. Because if you are always like, oh, hey, in yoga, and like you put your yoga mat right next to theirs, like you will never know if they're seeking you out because you're always the one to approach, right?
Right. And what's their energy, right? And I know this can be a slippery slope because we can go down the rumination front where they're having a bad day, but their energy.
It's my fault, of course.
Right, exactly.
Like, and they hate me, it turns out.
Exactly. But like use signals to tell you if they're interested. But if they're polite, they're doing the minimum. They're responding to you. They're saying hello, but you're really the initiator.
What do you do if you have trouble reading those cues? A lot of people in our community do have trouble with that.
We're never going to be 100%. But one of the ways to start reading the cues is to do something I call social spy, which is that you are pausing for 2 beats and you're scanning the room, scanning people's faces, and just noticing their facial expression, noticing what they're doing with their body, noticing who is there. You don't have to do it for long, and it can be super subtle. And then I call this zoom in, zoom out. But I look at you and I zoom into your face a little bit, and then I zoom out to the wider picture of what's going on. And you don't have to do this continuously. Just every once in a while, checking in.
And then ask, right? Like, if you need something, please, like, overtly tell me because I may miss it. Or the opposite, I'll be so hyper vigilant that I won't be able to relax because I'll be like, are they okay? Are they okay? Do they need something? Am I going to miss it? Am I going to miss it? Because I can read social cues, but I will miss them because I have ADHD. Whereas a lot of people in our community also have autism or, ADHD. And so they might miss social cues, but a lot of times they'll see it and they won't know how to interpret it. They won't know what it means.
We can say, I need you to boost the signal a little bit. When I'm ADHD, I might miss something. If you want something for me, let me know. You're giving them permission, and you can even have, something that you say, right? Like your little talk track. I think that helps people tremendously because they might fill in their own story, but now they know. Mm-hmm. I also think this takes practice. You don't have to do it all the time if it's hard for you too, because it is draining.
What about where to even start? If I meet somebody, then I can take it from there. But how do I even meet somebody?
Oh, this is my favorite thing. So what's the most important thing for us with ADHD? Interest, right?
Yep.
So we have to start with interest. If I don't like kayaking, which no offense to kayakers, I don't, and I join a kayaking club, I'm going to meet people who want to spend their weekends kayaking. And that's awesome. Glad you do. But that's not my people. That's not people I'm going to be friends with.
Wait, hang on. I really like kayaking. Can we still be friends?
We still can be friends.
Why, though? Because
we have other stuff in common and other stuff we like to do, right? But if I was choosing something to join, I would choose based on my interest, not what other people think, my interest, right? And I would choose some place where I'm going to find people who like to do what I like to do. And then the other thing is, I love things that have an excuse or a job. So if you go to a cooking class, or if you go to a volunteer thing, or you go to a dog park, I have something to do with my body so that I have a job and I am not having to think about every awkward feeling I have.
Yeah, I need that. Because even sitting and talking in chairs is very difficult for me. Sitting and talking for an extended period of time, I do. And a lot of people with ADHD need something to do. It even helps us focus, right? So being able to focus on the conversation, sometimes we need something to do with our hands or to be doing something active. What are some green flags where you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this person's going to be an amazing friend? I mean, I guess you're kind of talking about them. You focus more on the green flags than the red flags, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to these places where you have a high interest and you're having shared experiences, then it's easier for you to get green flags. Because part of how we make friends is we participate over and over and over again. We actually have knowledge of the person. We have these experiences. We build this trust and knowledge. And the green flags can be just them coming and talking to us, sharing the experience with us, making funny jokes with us, saying, hey, we should catch that kayak sometime. We should catch a movie sometime. But they're giving you signs that they would like to extend that experience beyond just the place where you guys meet.
Okay, so that's green flags that that tell you that they're interested. What about green flags that tell you that this is somebody that is worth your time? Because I will get green flags sometimes from somebody who then it turns out I ignored a lot of red flags that I shouldn't have. And I'm like, oh, okay, they really wanted to be friends with me, but only because they could use me for something.
They treat you well when you're with them. There's more to the relationship than what they can get out of it with you, and not pick me, pick me, pick me.
So it starts with mindset, which we did a video about mindset that I got real deep into. You can check that out here. I don't know if I've ever thought of going out and trying to make friends as a fun experience. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that for a second.
What if you were doing something you have fun doing?
Okay, that sounds pretty good. And that's what I'm starting to learn to do. Instead of just go and do things to meet people, go do things that I would want to do regardless of whether or not somebody else was there.
That's the mindset, right? I'm going to pick things where I could potentially meet friends, right? But I'm going to go and I'm going to do things that are fun for me. And so sometimes I'm going to come away with someone I meet, and sometimes I'm not. Setting those expectations rather than, today I am showing up at cooking class where I will meet my lifelong friend. And
then you're like, I hate cooking and I didn't make a friend.
Exactly. You're putting so much pressure on yourself too. Then every cooking class matters. Every moment matters.
Yeah.
If you go and you participate with people and you do things that you like, you're going to meet people and it's less pressured too, because you have this job and this excuse.
Is the event itself at least mostly worth it to you, even without them in the equation is part of it, right? Like there are people who I might really like, but if every time I go to hang out with them, I have to go do something that I really don't want to do or at a time that I'm really like, that is very inconvenient for me, it's gonna be less worth it, right?
Right, it has to feel worth it. And that's why I like these high interest shared experiences where there's less pressure. It's more about our interest.
I wanna add one thing because I really like it. I got it from a book that I read. This idea that in terms of reciprocity, the different types of reciprocity, one is that you should sometimes be doing things that you want to do and sometimes doing things that you're willing to do. In a lot of my friendships, I did things I was willing to do, but I didn't differentiate it. I was like, you know, they were like, hey, do you want to do this Saturday? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, that sounds great. What I meant was I am willing to do it because it seems important to you and I would like to be friends with you. But then I would get into a pattern where I would continually do things that I was willing to do because the other person wanted to do them, but it didn't end up feeling worth it to me because it was never what I would have chosen to do.
Absolutely, because there are friendships we enter where we're always doing things the other person wants, or even articulating it, you know, in a way that's not in any way aggressive. You could say like, hey, I'm sure it's not my thing, but it sounds like it's really important to you and I'd be happy to. The conditions matter. I think it's okay to sort of know that and not always be doing what everyone else wants and putting yourself in a situation where these conditions, this situation doesn't work for me.
Thank you for putting it that way because it feels selfish and it also feels risky. Like it's easier to go along with what everybody else wants to do and to feel like, okay, well, I'll belong more, or they'll accept me more if I do what they want to do. But knowing that it's not just a selfish thing of like, but I want to do what I want to do. And it does feel selfish sometimes to ask for that. But it's actually going to make it so that they have a better time too, because you can show up better as well. Like I like that, like setting up the conditions, not only so that you can have a good time, but so that you can be a more fun presence for the other person too.
Well, and think of it this way too. If people have allergies, they might say, hey, I can't do that restaurant. There's nothing for me on the menu. Or they might say, oh, you know, I'd prefer this. And we wouldn't think anything of it. We'd be like, oh, of course. I want to make sure you're safe and you're happy. We think about asking for things because we're so conditioned to think that we can't ask for them or that our needs don't matter. But we have to set ourselves up for success. And if we're in a situation where we're going to be super bored, you know, I can do it once in a while. Like you said, I'm willing to, but I can't do it all the time because then I am not able, I'll just speak for myself, to have that kind of engagement.
Okay, so every time I talk to you, there's something unexpected that comes up. And for me, this is what it is. Part of it is not even like, is this friendship worth pursuing in terms of like, are they bringing stuff to the table? But part of it is, am I asking for enough of what I need for this friendship to be worth it? Because it's possible that the other person's a really good person and a really good friend and would absolutely say, yes, let's go do the thing that you're really interested in. But if you don't ask, then it could easily end up still being a friendship that's not worth it to you, where the reciprocity isn't there. But it's not there because they will ask for what they want and you don't.
Plus, we're trying to have shared experiences. If all the shared experiences are on their terms and are super not what you want to do, then it's not enjoyable, right?
Which is what happens. That's exactly what happens. And then I'm like, they're like, hey, you want to hang out? And I'm like, no, because the last 15 times wasn't super fun for me. So thank you so much. Every time you come on the show, it's amazing. You have so much to offer. If you would like to follow Caroline McGuire, you can follow her on all of the things. We'll put it all in the description below, as well as probably here on screen. Thank you very much for coming and sharing everything that you have to offer. You've definitely helped me so much in terms of my own relationships and making friends and learning how to do all that. And I think that you've helped a lot of our community as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I love talking about all this.
Like, this is her hyper-focus, hyperfixation,
really
whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And she really cares. She wants to help this community. So if you have any questions for Caroline, ask them in the comments below or go to her socials and talk to her about what you need, and she'll make some videos for you.
Absolutely. I love making videos when people say, oh, this is what I need. That's my jam.
Awesome. All right. Thank you to my brain advocates and all my Patreon brains. Chloe's ready to be done. We're gonna go get some lunch. Come here, Chloe. Come here. Come up here. Like, subscribe, click all the things, and we will see you next video. Yeah, you want to do the bye brains?
Yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Bye brains.